All right, we are live. Hello, everyone. I'm so glad to be here today with you on this Monday morning here in the East Coast. I am Susan Berishaj, founder of C Admissions, and I'm really excited. Sorry about that. I had YouTube playing on the other end, so I was hearing myself twice. um, so thank you all for joining. I'm excited to have James Effarah here with me today. He's going to talk about his experience at Oxford. But before that, why don't we just quickly, I'm going to just briefly introduce him. He actually is from the United States. And has decided to study or do his MBA at Oxford Said. He graduated about a year ago now, and he's currently a product manager working at a startup in London. So we'll talk more about what he's doing there, but really wanted to thank James first and foremost for being here with us and sharing his journey. We were talking a bit backstage about what he anticipated and what the journey actually looked like. So I think a lot of you watching, whether you are applying to Oxford or somewhere else, can gain quite a bit of insight from this conversation. So I'm excited. Thank you, James, for being here. So happy to have you.
Yeah, excited to be here too, and it's so nice to see you again, Susan.
Yeah, excellent. Awesome. So I wanted to maybe start the conversation by going first into, your pre-MBA journey and what led you to pursue an MBA. Can you kind of just give us a little bit of that journey, what it looked like for you?
Yeah, of course. So I graduated my undergrad in marketing, and I started my career in marketing, specifically in SEO.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing a lot of ad agency type roles. It was very service based. I guess that falls under the category of consulting.
Yeah.
And I guess with SEO, it's like a pseudo tech where you play with a lot with HTML and web pages, and you're optimizing for Google's algorithm. And I realized within those 5 years of my career before the MBA, that's the stuff I really fell in love with. And the marketing was kind of just this extra bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that was always the path I was following. Like I moved to a company called bodybuilding.com where I kind of got into like a tech role. I was working with their tech teams, and eventually I got into like a product owner role.
Mm-hmm.
But then I realized, because of my background and because of my limited experience, I wanted to follow this path of product management or some kind of leadership role in tech.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't have the background, and I didn't really have the credentials, and I didn't have the network. And this is me talking in hindsight, but oh my gosh, the network is so important, because that's just your foot in the door to anywhere. You have to work half as hard to get to where you want with a good network.
Yeah.
But that being said, I realized my limitations, and I did what anyone who kind of sees like a ceiling in their career does: start Googling MBA programs and how hard is the GMAT. And so
I love that.
I did that. I spent a year thinking about exactly what I wanted to do. Initially, I kind of wanted to go to the consulting route,
Mm-hmm.
but I think in my heart, I really wanted to do product management.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I started Googling like what were the schools that had good like hybrid tech consulting programs in case I wanted to switch around.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at a few schools. Well, it was dependent on what I got on the GMAT at the time, but based on what I got and what I felt comfortable applying to, I was looking at either oh gosh, I can't even remember now. It was like Cornell, Duke, Oxford, Vanderbilt, just like a good spread of reach schools and like safe schools. And to be fair, I was nervous about Oxford because that was kind of like way far away. It was a completely different world. It felt scary applying to a school with like such a big name.
Yeah.
But but based on the research, yeah. So that was like quick recap, but like that's kind of my path was.
Yeah, it's so important to just recognize that the path doesn't always need to be straight. First and foremost, like you are learning.
Such a zigzag.
Yeah, you're learning along the way what you like and what you enjoy. And then figuring out along the way what opportunities are there to, you know, make the moves that you need to do. And also like the learnings and the lessons come from getting out of your comfort zone, applying to schools that you feel like they're reaches, but you know in your heart that they are the right ones. And, you know, shooting your shot, as they say. So I'm so glad you took this journey. So for those who are considering particularly UK schools and those who are, it's typically the LBS, the SAIDs, and the INSEADs. Obviously, INSEAD is not in the UK, but the point here is European schools. What was your learning environment at Said, specifically at Oxford Said, and what would you say would be like the key takeaway that you got out of that learning environment in this 1-year program?
So I can't speak 100% in comparison to
of course
US schools because I haven't been there, but from friends that I talked to at US schools, I can compare a bit. And to be honest, most of the top European schools base a lot off of like the Harvard case model. Almost all of my classes were either cases or applicable projects. And to be fair, like most of the curriculum is based off of like HBR, like Harvard Business Review cases anyway.
Yeah.
And I think most schools use that. So to be fair, from like a objective education, the paperwork that you're doing is honestly very similar across most schools. The real difference is who your teachers are, who your professors are, the class, the type of people are there. Which, you know, probably going to be the second question, but it's like the actual education you get in a lot of these MBA programs is very similar. It's the environment you want to be in and the style of teaching that's more important. But I would say, generally speaking, Said's style of teaching is very much case method, a lot of class participation, a lot of group work, they're trying really hard. Most MBA programs do this. They try really hard to like simulate what a real life work experience is with, you know, like cross-departmental teams. All of your classmates come from so many different places. The one thing about European schools I would say is it's a lot more diverse. So it's very different. I think in the US schools, you're coming into an environment where it's like 70% American, 30% international. LBS, Oxford, INSEAD, all of these other schools in Europe, they're like 93% international. And you feel it, especially as an American. I would say one of the most interesting things is a lot of maybe Americans have this perception of like, oh, everyone understands me. But then you get thrown into a world like this and nobody understands you. Oh, I really need to take an extra step or two to like think about what I say and structure it before I say it. Like just that alone was like a huge learning experience for me.
So like the communication and recognizing that the communication style between the US professional environment and the UK professional environment.
Professionally and like just socially in general. And I don't know, I think it's easy as an American to just assume that people understand you. Huge learning point.
Amazing. And do you feel that the cases, so you talked about cases earlier, do you feel that those gave you enough product management-esque exposure that you were able to make the transition, especially with a 1-year program?
The cases, not specifically. So, and this is maybe something to mention about Oxford. I'd say Oxford is very much more focused on consulting and finance and maybe general operations in a business. And a lot of the cases were based around that. But what Oxford did very well was extracurriculars and careers center involvement with like product management in general. So in in class, you would learn general frameworks that were applicable to PM. But what we did was after class, we would have these clubs and societies and career-run organizations where they were heavily involved specifically for PM.
Yeah.
And those were actually really, really cool because they would bring alumni from not even just Oxford, but from just the European collegiate realm. So there were LBS alumni, Cambridge alumni, even like UCL and other like prominent universities in London and in the UK in general. And they would come speak or hold workshops or show you even just like the back end of what they're doing on their day to day. And actually, that's what I'm involved in now as an alumni. So I'll go back up to Oxford and show people like what I'm doing at my company. I even brought up one of my developers, my designer, to show like how a PM, a designer, and a developer work together. And like those type of experiential learning experiences tend to be outside of the classroom, but they're so cool and they're so important. And that's the stuff that like I really enjoyed.
Yeah. And is that how you ended up in your position through those networking opportunities and those learning environments that helped you develop the PM skills? Or how would you say you were, like, how difficult, because one of the questions that one of the conversations I often have with prospective applicants who are considering European schools is, you know, will I be able to make a career change or transition if I don't have a quintessential internship period that I do in a 2-year program? So how is that process for you? Because you were changed, right? You transitioned something else.
No, so I feel like I'm such a weird case, but it still worked out for me because I applied initially thinking I wanted to do consulting, which is structured hire.
Yeah.
But I actually ended up getting an internship, like a school sanctioned one. It was through the school and it was a summer internship, which a lot of people say, oh, you can't do it at a 1-year program. But a lot of my classmates had internships. But then I declined the offer for that internship I declined it because I found this job. And so I kind of hit all the marks of finding a job externally from the school structure, getting the internship, and kind of dropping out of the structured hire process for consulting because I realized that wasn't for me.
Yeah.
But so I guess like where do we start?
Yeah, maybe you can tell us a little bit about how were you able to, because I think the structured hire, there's like a more process involved and like people know how to do, but let's talk about the unstructured process. Like what were the steps that you had to take that landed you this opportunity? And we'll talk more about this opportunity because it sounds like it's such an amazing place for you specifically.
Right. So talking to everyone, and so just literally talking to everyone. And maybe it's a little harder for Oxford and Cambridge because you're outside of London, but a lot of the events do take place in London, which is fair. Now that I'm an alumni, I think, oh, I don't want to take the train all the way to Oxford. So I get it now. But if you're a student, it doesn't matter how tired you are from class. Like just go to London, go to the events. They're so worth it. All it takes is that one connection where you hit it off. You add each other on LinkedIn, or they add you to like a group chat or some kind of meetup for product managers specifically. And boom, now you're in the entire PM ecosystem for London, which that's exactly what happened to me. There was an alumni, not even from Oxford, but somehow they were involved in the Oxford ecosystem. They came to host a workshop at site talking about gaming, which I'm not a gamer at all, but I had some questions about how is it different from like other industries?
Yeah.
It was an interesting conversation. They invited me to come down to some gaming PM seminar thing in London. Yeah. I went, met someone, and that's how I got my internship. And well, not my internship. That's how I got the foot in the door to the career I have now.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing is when you go to a school like this, it's really just, it's like a catalyst. People with a lot of influence come to these places to connect and talk and host seminars, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And a lot of times these people aren't, like, they're not even alumni from the school, but maybe they are. But it's just like an open forum where people meet.
Yeah.
Where people who are very influential meet, and you're there. So like, make use of it. Go talk to these people, because you're not gonna be, if you're at a pub in London or if you're out and about in New York, you might run into someone interesting who can give you an opportunity, but it's definitely not as likely. Yeah, like if you're walking around at a school campus, there's so many people. That's what people are there to do. They're there to learn, network, create things, build things, give opportunities. It's like, that's what these places are for.
Yeah. So everyone that's watching either this live or on replay, make sure that you're ready to network, because that's a constant that I hear time and again in terms of the MBA journey. You know, your opportunities are as strong as the network that you're building in that environment.
It's kind of funny, because if you do go to a school like Oxford or Cambridge, you're always reminded that the MBA is just a networking degree, because I think the difference between those schools versus the other schools is we're a collegiate style.
Mm-hmm.
So you have your department with the MBA, but then you live in a certain college like St. Hugh's or Christchurch or whatever Oxford College there is, and you're intermingling a lot with people who are masters and PhDs and DPhils from other, like, more academic degrees, and they're always thinking like, oh, we are at the forefront of research, and all you guys do is go to networking events. But it's like, yes, that is what we do. That's our job, is to make those connections and make those opportunities. Because when you're a business leader one day, you're not going to be in the trenches, you know, typing away at SQL queries or data. Like, you might be doing that 3-4 years out of the MBA, but what's the goal? Like, the goal is to be running something or strategically managing something or running the operations of something. And that's not that hands-on. That's thinking and networking.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
So it's like,
you're
own it.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. And your college friends that are not in the MBA should be making friends with you, because obviously they will need a job in the future with the leaders that are leading them.
I mean, I wouldn't say that, because they are academically smart. No, I know it's like, we joke about that a lot. Like, one of my really good friends, he's a molecular biologist who went to the same college as me, and we even right now, like, we'll go get hot pot maybe once a week or every other week, and that's like the ongoing joke is like, all I do, like, I know how to talk and chat and all that, but he's like actually smart. He can just, I don't know, like, just like so much trivia and skills
in both. You need skills, because I often talk about this, you know, with people in my community, that you can have amazing ideas, but if you can't tell them, the idea is not worth a lot. So you do need the combination of you know, skills and communication, for sure. Okay, so now part of the MBA journey is obviously the network that you're building, the communities are part of the network, and the classroom learning that happens as well. But another element that is not often talked about is that personal learning that happens in the journey that you're walking through. Can you walk us through what that looked like? I mean, we talked a little bit offline about what you anticipated the MBA to be like, and what it ended up being is slightly different. And I'm sure that there was an internal personal learning that happened on that journey. Can you tell applicants who are going through this process themselves what that looks like?
There's so much. I mean, it's one of those you don't know what you don't know kind of things, because I remember, I think I was kind of annoying to a lot of the MBAs I was interviewing when I was going like through the process, because I was like, hey, if you have any advice or something that someone actually hasn't asked you yet but you wish they asked, what would it be?
Yeah.
And they're just like, I don't know. It's like that's a personal journey kind of thing. Like, I can't tell you. Yeah. But I guess what I would say is, it's it's a lot less complicated than you think. So I think my problem previously was I tended to overcomplicate things. I wanted everything to be perfect and structured, and I wanted to nail every word on those video interviews and just be the perfect candidate. And to be fair, I think a lot of like aspiring MBAs are like that, because a lot of people come from project management roles or very structured corporate roles, and that's just how you think because you're a business person. Don't do that.
It's also you're going through this journey, and this journey is important. So obviously, it's important, and a lot of effort in.
But I think, and I wish, I kept telling myself this in the application process, but I don't think I actually believed it. Is like, just relax, just be fine. They want human imperfections. Like, yes, be a very good on paper candidate. Like, have the good GMAT, have the good application, have the really good extracurriculars, show that you really, really care about that school, talk to everyone at that school and be extremely specific about what you want to do relevant to that school, and then convince them that like what you want to do is feasible through that school. Like all those things, yes, do it. But once it actually comes to talking face to face in that interview, just be a human. Like, they already read the thing. They know you like, the fact that you got to the interview in the first place is like, for the most part, great. Like, now they just want to know, like, can you socialize with 300 other people and make an impact? You know what I think the litmus test is, now that I'm on the other side, is it's like, and I don't want it to sound like a popularity contest, because I'm definitely not popular, but I look through my phone, and I'm in so many random WhatsApp group chats that are related to the MBA program, or like the MBA program from the year before me, or like an offshoot, like a subcategory group of PMs who work in gaming, or there's so many group chats. And it's like, if you could prove that you're someone who could put yourself out there, and like when you come to the other side, you're like involved in all these small little pieces. Like that's super important.
Like, you don't be someone who's just showing up and expecting the school to offer you everything. You have to be actually an engaged person. Demonstrate that from the get-go.
Yeah, exactly. Like, be super engaged. And it's going to be exhausting. But that's the nice part about a 1-year program, is it's just 1 year.
Just 1 year.
Okay, that might be another thing too, is like, I was so on the fence about the 1 year thing. But to me personally, and maybe if some other people are a little more introverted or socializing exhausts them, go for the 1 year program. If someone told me, hey, you have 1 more year of this, I don't know what I would do. I don't think I could do a second year of an MBA. But it's a serious thing. Like, it's exhausting from like just like your social battery.
Especially introverts who need the stepping away to recharge, for sure.
Like I can do it, but socializing drains me. I need my alone time afterwards. And 2 years of like a hyper social environment like an MBA program, it's not for me. Not for me at all. And I didn't know that until I did the year.
Gotcha. I mean, it's learning lessons along the way, right? Every opportunity that you have, you're learning about yourself. So now let's talk a little bit about the company that you chose to work for, and also why did you choose that particular company in relation to when, oftentimes applicants think about, okay, what am I going to do? Kind of PM role I'm going to work at, or what company I'm going to work at as a PM. And oftentimes we think about the FANGs and the big names. What are the opportunities that look like in the product space, product management space at Oxford, and how should applicants think about those opportunities that come their way?
Right. So I would say in the UK in general, if you're doing tech, one of the biggest things is fintech. Everything is revolving around finance. That's what London is, right? So there's a lot of fintech. There are the FANG companies, but to be fair, FANG in the UK is semi-structured. So if you were going to apply to Google or Amazon, they have like those programs predefined. And you basically, if you don't meet someone in Google or like get involved in that hiring process early on, like in September, October, November timeframe. It's like you could get in with a referral, but it wouldn't be for like the designated post MBA product management roles. It would be more like an operations role or like an experienced hire role. But for startups, I thought I wanted to do the fintech role because that just made sense and it was interesting. So I went through that route. I interviewed with Revolut, Wise, Monzo. A lot of these, I think if people are watching from the US, they won't know what any of these are, but they're really big financial tech companies, banking companies, international exchange type of companies. But then I accidentally fell onto this role at Activision, and I was like, okay, I'm not a gamer, but I know what Activision is. That's a huge gaming company, and the division of Activision I was at, King, is the company that made Candy Crush, and I'm like, I don't know anything about this, but it sounds interesting and it sounds fun. Like the way they work internally is exactly what they preach. It's like they are a fun gaming company, and even their operating flows and the way they do like their dev teams are gamified. And the types of people I talk to there just personality wise clicked with me because sometimes I think I'm a little too goofy for enterprise roles. So like, it was perfect. It was perfect. And I, like, as you said before, just like shot my shot. I threw a resume out and I was brutally honest. I was like, I'm not a gamer, but I understand this, and this about product management. And I understand this, and this about the end users who are players. And they offered me an interview, and that's how I got the internship at first. And I liked it, but it was still a little too corporate for me. I wanted to be a PM who owned something end to end. I think there's something a little entrepreneurial in me where I just want to push things out to production quickly, have it fail, and then learn from it, but then be able to fix it quickly as well. And none of that happened at Activision because it was huge product teams, and I was working on such a tiny sliver of this mobile app that like it was kind of those things where it's like, oh, you built Candy Crush? It's like, no, I built that button that's on the top right corner of this page. That, you know, it just that doesn't seem, that's not appealing to me. So I wanted to move something way smaller, and I actually went from a company of 6,000 people from my MBA internship to being employee number 12 at this company. And I loved it. I still love it, but I'm approaching a year now, and we've grown so much. You can actually measure like substantial impact that we've done for the company. We're completely like rebuilding the app right now and modernizing it. And like, yes, I feel a little young and inexperienced sometimes, like calling the shots for this whole app. But it's so fulfilling. Like when you get something right, it's like such a strong learning process. When you get something wrong, you're like, oh man, the whole product like revolves around me fixing this problem and like inspiring my team to fix this problem quickly. Like I love that kind of pressure.
No, that's great, and I really appreciate your inner journey that you go through these jobs that you are like, even the process of like figuring out consulting is not for you, and then you wanted PM, but this particular structure didn't work exactly for you, and you wanted that, you know, A to Z process, right?
Exactly, and I think a lot of people say, "Oh, go to a 2-year program because you can zigzag around and try things and fail and try again." You could still do that in a year program. Like I did it 3 times.
Yes, in the 1-year program. Yes, for sure. And I think that's really important that people that are watching this video, either live or you know, as a replay, can think about this process. Now, obviously, in your application, you're not going to tell them how you're going to zigzag, but the reality is, you know, life life presents many opportunities, and if you are in an environment that offers those opportunities and you're leveraging the people around, then you have definitely ways that you can move around without necessarily needing another degree after your MBA. So that's great. That's great to hear. So I know we're approaching our time. Actually, we're at time. So I just wanted, if you have a few more minutes, just do rapid fire questions with one word, one sentence responses, if that's okay.
I could definitely do one sentence. One word is hard for me. I'm working on shortening the rambling, but
it's okay. We'll take what you can give us. So okay. What is the favorite part about Said for you in your journey?
Oh, it's magical. Like I'm trying to keep it short. That's a hard question to do in one or two words, but it's truly magical. You can't replicate the experience of 1,000-year-old school.
Yeah. And
the collegiate system is very interesting. It's almost like you're part of your own little subgroup in Oxford. Exactly. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, magical is the word. And every time I look at Oxford's, construction, I think of Harry Potter. So magic works perfect.
Oh, we are all Harry Potter nerds at so it's fair.
Yeah. What is something unexpected that you got out of business school that you feel that, well, yeah, let's just keep it at that. What is something unexpected that you got from business school?
Oh, the friendships. So, and like when you go to undergrad, you're like 18, it's your first time away from home, and you make those friendships, and a lot of people are still best friends with their undergrad friends, but you never really think you would replicate that again when you're closer to 30.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like a thing you do when you're 30.
Yeah.
But some of my closest friends, a lot of my closest friends I made at my MBA program.
Yeah.
I knew I would make friends, but I didn't realize the magnitude of it until now, looking back. Like, heck, it's only been a year, and I can literally say that there's at least 50 people in my social circle now that come from Oxford, where it's like, I can really rely on them, and I really enjoy their company.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's great. And then final last question. What advice would you give someone considering a one-year MBA in terms of their application?
Don't worry too much about it in comparison to a 2-year. If you really want the internship, you'll find an internship. If you really want to zigzag, I would just say be prepared for a lot more coffee, because it is much more condensed. You just have to know that you're going to have to crunch a little more than you would in a 2-year program, but it's all possible.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. Well, I know that our community here has the ones that are watching and the ones that will be watching it will learn a lot from this conversation, not just about Said, but also about just the MBA journey. Because I do think that as you said earlier, you don't know what you don't know, and hearing more of these stories is helpful for those trying to imagine what that experience is going to look like. And I know in 30 minutes we can't capture it all, but it's a good conversation starter. Excellent. Well, thank you, James, so much. Thank you all for watching. And I will be hosting a MBA interview live session on Thursday. So if you are in the process of submitting and need support in understanding how to prepare for interviews, join me on Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern. Thank you again, and we'll stay out offline a bit afterwards.
Yeah. Thank you, Susan, and good luck, everyone. Susan's the best, so you guys are in good hands.
Thank you. All right, bye.